or not, and I took it really wrong, and my instinct when I start to get anxious or feel like I'm in a corner is to run away. And so I left the house, then remembering that I didn't have my phone, and so I go back because it's 40 degrees and I don't have a phone and it's 2 in the morning, and so I go back in and the doors are all locked and the lights are off, and I was like, okay, well, this is fucked. And I was leaving and I hear him calling me and he's like, come here. And then as soon as I get in, he starts screaming at me. And I mean, like, it deserved. I was really drunk and I was being obnoxious. I don't know if I personally would choose to talk to someone the way he did in this situation. I was definitely being a bitch and a drunk bitch, and it wasn't right for me to walk out of a situation when I felt triggered, and I can't really explain why I did it, but I was extremely intoxicated. And he started calling me a lot of names, and there was a lot of swearing, and I never want to fucking see your face again. Never fucking call me after this. You always fucking do this. He's not wrong. I do walk out of his house often because I don't know. He kind of reminded me of my dad. I got really upset when he started yelling at me, and I just didn't know. I didn't. He's like, once I order this Uber, like, I never fucking want to see you again. I just don't think I've ever had anyone say anything like that to me before, and I just didn't. It hurt my feelings, and I understand why he was upset. He was also very drunk, but like, it sent me into even worse fight or flight, and so I started screaming, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, getting really, really angry, and I left. And he was on the phone with my roommate when this was all happening because he was fed up with my shit and just wanted me to go home, which, like, I understand. And I walked without my phone, and I fell, and I laid on the pavement bleeding, crying. I was crying the entire way. I fell a few times. At this point I was coherent because the yelling woke me up, like literally like snapped me into sobriety, and I'm just crying because I don't know what I'm gonna do. And my sister lives 5 minutes away, but you kind of have to cross a freeway. So I was sobbing my eyes out. I finally get up off the pavement, wipe the blood off my chin, feel my teeth because I can feel that I chipped them, and I just start walking like this, and I was just in like a little tiny t-shirt and a jacket and jeans, and so I walk to my sister's and I crossed the freeway. Luckily there wasn't a lot of cars at night because I probably was really, really not in a good place and like wouldn't have made the effort to dodge a car if that bitch came flying at me. And I get to my sister's and she has 2 entrances, right? And her porch door is always locked. And I was like, okay, well, let me check the back door. So I go to the back door's open. I'm like, sweet. I go to the like glass doors she has to enter her house from like the little courtyard in the back, and those were locked. And I didn't want to bang on the door and wake her up because I already felt so shitty about myself after everything that he said. Like, I didn't want to bother anyone else, and I was just like, I don't even want to call anyone anymore. Like, I don't even want to make an effort. I'll be fine. I'll just wait till like she wakes up and maybe she can call me an Uber, take me to get my phone tomorrow. And so I sit outside in the courtyard for a little bit, and I was like, it's so fucking cold. Like, I'm gonna get hypothermic. I'm super drunk, and I can't regulate my body temperature properly. So I literally was like, okay, well, how else can I get into the house somewhere? And I remember her detached garage with like the laundry room and the snack cabinet and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe I can get into the garage. Sure enough, garage door was open, and I went in, sat on this little mat next to the laundry machine, and I cried. I just cried and cried and cried until it probably hit like 4 a.m. and I fell asleep for like an hour, and I woke up and the sun was rising, and I was like, I just sat there. I stood up. I was freezing. I felt like my lips were really cold and my ears were really cold, and so it's probably like 40 degrees. I wrap a towel around myself because she had some towels and woke up and turned the lights on. And I hear a knock behind me, and then there's a police officer standing there. It's probably been an hour at that point of me just standing in the window. I probably, so then I thought, my first thought when I see the police officer is like, oh my gosh, probably thought I was an intruder, literally just some whacked out fucking crazy person looking for a place to sleep for the night, because all she saw was me just wrapped up in a towel. And the police officer has me come out. He's waving to me. I come and I open the door because I'm just stunned. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even think anyone knew I was missing because my roommates probably could have assumed that, I don't know, I stayed at the guy's house, but luckily they checked on me, and I already thought that they'd be busy because my other roommate was in such rough shape. I was just hoping that they were taking care of her. I was gonna be fine at the end of the day, but I was just really sad. It made me really, I had a lot of time to reflect and think about my actions and just really hate myself. And so the police officer's like, are you MK? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, your mom and your roommate are really worried about you. You've been missing for 4 hours now. And I was like, oh, only 4 hours? He's like, yeah, but you have no phone on you. Are you okay? And I look at him and I go, no. And I start crying even harder again because I have dirt and dry blood on my face. My makeup's all over. I'm my eyes are probably swollen almost shut from just crying all fucking night. I have no voice from not only screaming at that kid, but also just hating. I was screaming in the streets. I was just losing my shit, I'm not gonna lie. And so he's like, come on, let's go sit in my car, you're fucking freezing, after holding me crying for 10 minutes. This police officer was standing there holding me crying, and I'm just sobbing my fucking eyes out. It's literally, the sun's rising. I was like, my life is just